Another live edition of Fun Fact Friday. So today's fun fact, deer typically ingest 3% of their body weight in dry matter intake per day. So if you've got a 150-pound buck, he's going to ingest 4.5 pounds of dry matter intake in one day. So that's quite a bit. And today's topic is actually nutrition. And we have here Dr. Leiting, the Director of Nutrition with Anilogics. So we're going to just start with, what is your role with Anilogics?
Yes, so Director of Nutrition. I basically work on the research and what it takes to put together a product together for Analogics. And because of my veterinary training and our company, we all get to wear a lot of hats. So
yeah, so we can get into that. What you've been focusing on nutrition for a long time, but what is your background with nutrition?
Okay, sure.
Educational and experience-wise.
Yeah. So I was trained as a veterinarian at Iowa State University, graduated in 1985, probably before many of you hunters were born, unfortunately.
That's exactly when I was born, so.
There you go. That makes me feel good. So trained as a veterinarian and have worked in a mixed animal practice, both ruminants, small animals, and monogastrics, and developed an interest in nutrition and got started in 1992 after I came to Worthington, and kind of worked through and some self-taught, but a lot of seminars and things in regards to nutrition. And I probably, as a veterinarian, I spend a large part of my time in many species in nutrition.
Okay. So we talk a lot about minerals with a lot of our customers. And one question a lot of people ask is, what is the difference between inorganic and chelated minerals?
Sure.
And maybe talk about the benefits of the latter.
Yeah, first of all, we've got, when we look at minerals, we think of macrominerals and microminerals. So macrominerals being calphos, and then microminerals being kind of most of the other minerals. So we divide supplemental minerals up into inorganic and organic or chelated minerals. And even within the organic minerals, or inorganic minerals, there's a lot of difference in absorption rates. And that's the key to why we use chelated minerals in some of our products. If you look at like maybe magnesium sulfate versus magnesium oxide, they both provide magnesium to the body, but the oxide forms are very poorly absorbed. The sulfates are better. Same is true of iron oxide. Iron oxide is rust, and you can eat rust, but you won't absorb any iron. If it doesn't get into the body, if it only gets into the intestinal tract and is not absorbed, it doesn't do the animal or the person any good. So when we look at supplementing any species, we're looking at how absorbable are these different minerals. And in the case of inorganic, we're using sulfate forms. But we know that deer are deficient in some microminerals, so we use chelated forms. And these chelated forms, the mineral is actually bound to a protein or an amino acid that the body recognizes the need for. So the animal ingests this bound product, and the body says, I need that lysine, or I need that protein molecule, and they take the molecule out of the intestinal tract into the body, and then they cleave off the mineral and they do the digestion internally. So the cleaving of that mineral, now it's inside the body, and we take absorption rates from maybe 20 or 30% in a inorganic mineral to as high as 60 or 70% maybe in a chelated mineral.
Okay. And then also people ask, what minerals are typically deficient in the diet of a free-ranging deer?
Yeah, it's pretty, I mean, it's variable depending on geography, but you know, I talked a little bit about macro and micro minerals. We did liver analysis of harvested liver early on, and I have yet to see a liver that's deficient in calcium or phosphorus, even though we make a big deal of it in the industry and as far as nutrients go.
Because that's what antlers are made up of mostly.
Yep, but every liver that I've analyzed have always been sufficient, no matter where the geography's been. But almost without exception, the microminerals like manganese and zinc and selenium, and those are deficient or nearly devoid in the liver, which is the storehouse for minerals. So that is why in a Supplement 365 product, we're working to chelate those products, because we know that they don't get them in their normal habitat, and what little bit we can get into them, we want to make sure they're highly absorbable. Mm-hmm. So that's the thought process.
Gotcha. So now, can you tell us a little bit about Anashield TX4? I know it's in all the Analogics products, but can you just give us an overview of what that is?
Yeah, Analogics TS4, we're a group of veterinarians, 16 veterinarians in our group, and so we have a tendency to approach things from the health side, go figure. And so when we started looking at, how can we make a healthier deer herd, because that was our goal, was healthier deer herd, and if we get that done, then we get bigger antlers, we get bigger body mass, we get better reproduction. So we started from the health side and kind of looked at what deer are deficient in. So we've taken a packet of essential oils, a blend of essential oils. We've taken the KeyLated minerals. We've taken a probiotic that we know works in ruminants to improve digestion. And then we've taken a proprietary flavoring aroma pack that we've put in products that have TX4. So that's kind of our health pack, or what we use to improve the immune system of the deer.
Okay. Yeah. And then with that, what are essential oils to those people that are not familiar with that sort of technology? Yeah,
see, essential oils are becoming more of a buzzword both in the human industry as well as the animal industry, but they're botanicals or not chemicals, naturally occurring products within plants that have different properties. So we know that antibiotics are antibacterial by nature. Well, these aren't antibiotics, but they have some of the same characteristics as what maybe an antibiotic would have. So some essential oils are very antibacterial, some are very antiviral, others are antifungal. There's some that are strong antioxidants. And the reason that we use a blend of essential oils is we try to take what's good from a number of essential oils, blend them together to get a synergistic, or at least an additive effect, if not synergistic effect, to some of these maybe pathogens or viruses, antioxidants that naturally occur in the deer.
Mm-hmm. And then the other side of the TX4 is the probiotics. So can you tell us, just for those that don't know, what is a probiotic and how does it help digestion?
Right. So probiotics are becoming more commonly used in both the adult human population, the children, and as well as animals. And probiotics, by definition, are live cultures. They might actually be live bacteria like a lactobacillus or bifidobacter, or they might be a spore that's in a non-vegetative form that, once it gets into the animal, becomes a bacteria. And these bacteria oftentimes flood the gut, if you will, with good bacteria. And the good bacteria, like the lactose-producing bacteria, actually crowd out some of the bad bacteria, like E. coli or Salmonella or some of the gram-negative organisms. So we're trying to flood the gut, and in the case of deer, the rumen, to affect what the bacterial characteristic of the rumen is, which improves digestion so that every bite that the deer take is better utilized.
Makes it more efficient.
Yes. Yep.
All right. As far as the protein level that's in supplement 365, why 16%?
Why 16%? Yeah, we did a lot of research and reference searching to find out where we should be. We know that 16% protein is kind of what's necessary if we were to pen deer in a dry lot. It would support the biological functions of the deer. So that's where we started. And then recognizing that in most cases we're not dry lotting deer, we're supplementing, as in supplement 365. So we're taking what they normally get within their environment and we're adding to that. So it'll support growth and biological function on its own, but in many cases we're just supplementing that, so we're adding to what they're getting in their normal environment. Mm-hmm. So that was the thought process.
Yeah, and what could happen if you give them too much protein?
Yeah, too much protein, there's additional digestion that has to occur in the hindgut of the deer, or in other species too for that matter. Any additional protein, more protein than what an animal needs, they have to deaminate, or they have to remove the nitrogen from it, and that removing of the nitrogen actually takes energy. So when you overfeed protein to any species, it takes energy to cleave that off and utilize it in the body, so it actually makes them less efficient.
It's not always a more better
Nope,
type scenario,
nope.
is it?
That is right.
So we have a Facebook question that we want to respond to. Donna asked, what should you feed deer in the fall for the best nutrition?
Okay, Donna, it depends a little bit on what part of the geography you're in and what kind of feedstuffs they have access to. If we're in an area where they've got access to grain, maybe fields of grain that are being harvested or pre-harvested, then they probably don't need very much energy. They probably don't need very much protein, but we're still building the mineral building blocks, and we want to keep that kind of nutrition occurring, so maybe more of a mineral supplement type of thing. If we're concerned at all about energy and protein in those animals, then really feeding Supplement 365 year-round makes sense. So depending on what feedstuffs they have access to, maybe if they're in a timber-only area, the energy might be deficient and protein might be deficient. But if they've got a food plot where there's clover and some of the legumes that are high in protein, and they've got access to plenty of energy, then maybe a decreased program makes sense. So,
And then we had a question on Instagram from JP. What grain products are in Supplement 365?
Yes. Well, that's a proprietary answer, so we don't necessarily share that. Obviously, the largest energy portion of 365 is corn, but there's actually a blend of other grains that we use for both protein and energy sources. So we know there's such things as proteins and then bypass proteins, or bypass proteins make it almost whole through the rumen and are utilized by the deer. So that mix of protein and grain products are part of the proprietary formula.
All right, so do we have any questions from the live viewers? All right, well that pretty much wraps it up unless you have anything else.
Nope, that'll do me.
That'll be it for today's Fun Fact Friday. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, and if you have any other comments, feel free to put them in the comment section below and we'll address those as they come in. And tune in next week. Thanks for watching.
Thanks.